It's Tuesday, and that means we have another great slate of college basketball. And tonight, welcome to Layup Lines, the college basketball betting show for the Bandwagon Sports YouTube channel. I'm DaRock, and I'm going to give you guys my picks for tonight's big games. Usually I jump into Monday's results first, but this week I'm just going to get right into my picks for Tuesday. We have some great games with importance, for them. And the first one here at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Georgetown heads to Villanova, who is a 15.5-point favorite. Villanova, big game this weekend against UConn, kind of got run out the gym. Georgetown finally got a win beating DePaul, but Villanova won the first meeting between these two teams at Georgetown, 70-54 on February 16th. And Villanova is a bubble team, so this is a very big, important game for them. And, they already won by 16 on the road, covering that 15.5. I don't see why they wouldn't do it again here at home. Plus, big game for them. They have to come to play. They cannot lose this one if they want to make the big dance, still have a chance. Then getting over to hear some of the ESPN games. It's 7 Eastern on ESPN2. We have Cincinnati at the now number 1 ranked Houston Cougars. While UConn did beat Villanova last weekend, they did fall to Creighton earlier in the week, making now Houston the number 1 team after their big win over Baylor on the road on Saturday. Houston won against the Bearcats 67-62 back on February 10th. Cincinnati hasn't really been playing super well as of late, so that's why I would probably lean Houston to cover that 13.5. That is a big number, though, so if you are maybe a little scared to lay that many points, the total right now is at 132.5. I bet an under against Houston on the weekend in that Baylor game. I got burned for it. It was around a similar number, I think maybe even a little bit higher. So the way Houston can score the ball, and Cincinnati can score a little bit too. Granted, Houston's a very, very good defensive team. I maybe would lean towards the over being my play in that one. Then also on 7 Eastern, but on ESPN, the 16th ranked Kentucky Wildcats head to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This is the one I guess you would call my upset pick of the day. Once again, I called Kentucky losing at LSU last week. That was a great game, by the way. Hopefully you guys caught the end of that. Nice buzzer beater layup for the win. Mississippi State, though, is 3.5-point favorites. Kentucky did win the first game between these two teams, 90-77, back on January 17th. But, yeah, once again, I think this is kind of a trap spot for Kentucky, coming off a big win against Alabama, now having to go on the road. Mississippi State has also won 5 straight games and beat that LSU team that beat Kentucky last week. They beat them by 20 over the weekend. And, the Bulldogs are playing really well right now. They're a team I'm pretty high on, so I'm going to ride the Bulldogs in this one. Then at 8 Eastern on ESPN+, BYU heads to the 7th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas is a 6.5-point favorite. BYU has double-digit losses in their last 2 away conference games against Kansas State and Oklahoma State, who Oklahoma State especially is not a great team. And, no one really just comes into the fog and beats Kansas. Kansas has been playing well as a late big win over Texas on the weekend, just blowing them out. I think Kansas can easily cover 6.5 here. I know I'm kind of boring rolling with a lot of the favorites here, but I think kind of that's what we're in for today. Then at 9 Eastern on ESPN, Texas at Texas Tech. This should be a good one. Texas Tech is a 4.5-point favorite. They won 78-67 back on January 6th in Austin, so now they head to Lubbock for the second game. Texas Tech has also won 3 straight home games in conference. And, I feel like I've kind of bet them in these past couple spots when they've, been the second game here on ESPN. Good game. They had a really good one last week against TCU. Good one a couple weeks ago against Baylor. I think they lost that one, though. But, yeah, once again, I'm just going to ride the home team. It's so hard to win on the road in college basketball. So, once again, I'm just going to take Texas Tech minus 4.5. Then the nightcap, the mid-major game of the day, if you want to call it. Granted, the Mountain West, they're gonna have 6 bids. Not really surprised. I don't even know if you can call them mid-major because that's more in some of these major conferences here are going to have. At 10:30 Eastern time on Fox Sports 1, Nevada heads to Colorado State. Colorado State's a 7.5-point favorite. Nevada won the first meeting between these two teams 77-64 back on January 24th. However, Colorado State is undefeated at home in conference, and I feel like so many times in these games I see, in the Mountain West games, these late games, it doesn't matter who's the better team. All these teams are kind of right there in conference play, and I feel like it's the home team that usually ends up pulling it out. So I'm going to go with Colorado State to cover that one. Even though Nevada's only a game out of first in the Mountain West, so it's a big game for them. But going on the road, Colorado State's not an easy place to play. Nowhere is an easy place to play really on the road unless you're going to like a DePaul or some sorry program. So once again, going with the Rams. And then if you really want a real mid-major game, this one I found interesting. At 7 Eastern on ESPN Plus, so it's a little bit earlier in the night. Going back to this, Loyola Chicago heads to St. Bonaventure, who's a 3.5-point favorite. Loyola Chicago's won 7 straight games and now finds themselves tied for first in the Atlantic 10. However, they do have Dayton coming to town this weekend on Friday night. It's a big game. I might try to go to that one. And this just seems like kind of an odd line to me, but maybe it's a look-ahead spot for Loyola. That's what the books are starting to think. So St. Bonaventure being a 3.5-point favorite, I mean, the books are probably telling you to take that, and I could definitely see how that could happen. But me personally, like, I'm just really high on this Loyola Chicago team. I went to their game earlier in the year against Duquesne where they rallied and came back. Like, they're just a team, like, they don't, I feel like they really even had a let-up spot this year once they've really got rolling here in the Atlantic 10. So this one I might look to take the underdog. That might be my one underdog play of the night. Another interesting one for mid-major games, also at 7 Eastern on ESPN Plus. Akron heads to Ohio, and Akron currently would have the automatic bid in the Mid-American, but Ohio is actually the favorite in this one. So that's another one, maybe two. You know, you look at the top team in the conference, heads down, you know, going on the road, and they can't pull it out, you know. So maybe the books know something that I don't. I mean, we saw it last night. You know, UNC Wilmington was a big favorite against Campbell on the road, and I mean, great game. Campbell was up, but then UNC Wilmington was able to come back, but Campbell pulled out in double overtime. I mean, some great games last night between that one. North Carolina, you know, Miami made it interesting. North Carolina didn't put the game away. RJ Davis 42 points though to save the day. So yeah, we got some good college basketball on. Things are going well. It's a great time of the year for college basketball. We are less than 3 weeks away now from Selection Sunday. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Those are my picks for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.